What's going on, good people of the internet? It is time once again for Comics Unmasked, the podcast where a bunch of folks shoot the breeze and talk about comic books and such. We are back for episode. What episode is this? Because I moved the Nectar episode to this week because I want to make sure it tied to the weeks. 33. This is 33. Episode 33 for you good people. We have officially gone more than a month of episodes for you good folks that you can listen to the show. We've had some awesome interviews, awesome takes. We got some awesome guests, including one this evening. We having some great time for y'all. Don't forget that you can listen to this podcast on Apple, Spotify, your mama's fridge, your calculator, YouTube, everywhere you can find us. You can check us out. Make sure you follow us on all social media platforms. Make sure that you leave us a review on Spotify and Apple. So the person who reviewed us 3 out of 5 on Apple, I will find you. But because everyone else loves this show, why don't you love the show? Maybe you should leave a comment and tell me why don't you like this show. Damn it. But
my guess is it's all black politics.
Man, Lord.
He gave us a 3, so it was the middle of the ground politics. He's like, I halfway agree, but I just got to centrist this.
And it was the fact that they didn't leave a comment, which got on my nerves. Like, at least tell me what you don't like about the show if you're going to leave a poor review. Like, tell me where I can fix this for you, sir. Like, that's all I'm asking. Sir and or madam, I don't know your pronouns. But regardless, my name is JP. To my left, we have the woman who is working her ass off in these streets, kicking butt, like one day at a time. Got her hair all done for us. How you doing, Tachi?
I'm tired because
that's a great way to put that.
And it's been a long week. Several interviews. Final one on Tuesday. Finally got T coming on, so that'll be fun.
There you go. Shout out to T Franklin. She her and I got into it a little bit on Threads last week, and it was a very interesting interaction. But we love her to death regardless. She is one of the real ones who's been done wrong by the industry. Above me or below me, depending on how I do this later on, we have the man who tames his fro for the show, Mr. Working 47 jobs like Uncle Ruckus without the racism, Mr. B Rex himself. How you doing?
I am doing great, and I just got a raise, so all of this working means something. I got a whole 48 cents. Man, I love working for the white man sometimes. I'll eventually be making my own money. So we'll get there one day.
There you go. All right. And then we have our special guest, man who asked for my help with the video this past week, talking about the history of Milestone, had back-to-back interviews all in one video. Friggin' killed it. Like you can even check out the extended cuts of those videos on his Patreon. Mr. Comics are dope himself. BJ Kicks, how you doing, brother?
I'm good, man. I appreciate you guys having me.
Of course.
And thank you for your help with that video. I had no idea how it was going to perform, but now you can say you contributed, and
of course,
I like to think it's because of your contribution that it did well.
I mean, I don't know about all that, but like just your voice in general is always sultry. That's why I was like, you want my help? You have a better voice than me.
It's very calming, actually.
I appreciate that. I think it's helpful to have different voices, especially if you're doing like a video essay type deal. Like it could just be one guy talking for an hour, and it's like I don't love myself that. Excuse me. I don't know that other people love me that much. I love myself quite a bit.
There you go. See, there you go. All right. So let's go ahead and dive into this. So as we hinted at last week, and as we've been doing our best to promote this book over the past few weeks and months as we were leading up to this, the new history of the DC Universe, the Dakota incident, finally hit store shelves this past Wednesday. The special foil variant cover comes out this coming Wednesday. There was a delay, so make sure that you check back at your local comic book shop for that. But this book has been very talked about, I will say. Very talked about this past week, whether it be in divisive ways, whether it be positive ways, negative ways, causing controversy when it comes to people trying to figure out if we should be supporting Milestone or supporting indie books. It's been a very divisive week, I will say. But I wanted to talk about all of it and more over the next hour with y'all, because this has been interesting. So let's go ahead and dive into this. I even kind of said on social media that I was going to wait till this episode to talk about this book, because I have so many thoughts, so many frustrations, and I will start with everybody's initial reactions when reading this. And I will say that this book opened my eyes to how much Dwayne McDuffie was failed. And at first, when I read this, I said, we failed Dwayne. But then the more I read it over and over again, especially because I read it back when it leaked, I said to myself, no, we didn't fail Dwayne. DC failed Dwayne. Because this book, more and more that I read it, it felt as if this was a group effort from four individuals trying to yell from the rooftops in the most metatextual way that DC has held Dwayne's vision back for so many years. And I gotta give it up to these writers when it comes to Joseph Village, Stephanie Williams, Morgan Hampton, Nicholas Draper Ivey. They have crafted some of the greatest metatextual text that will be studied for a long time, because there's still some people that just don't get it. There's some people that just were happy to see static. They were happy to see good art, and some people just didn't get it. And I even said to BJ behind the scenes, like when the leak happened, that there's going to be two groups of people. There's going to be the people who understand the subtext and who are pissed, and the people who understand who don't understand the subtext and are going to be happy as hell. And it's been very obvious who's who. But I will say that this book is only so good because of these writers and because of these artists. A lesser writer would have messed this up. But this is a work of art, and I think the best way that you can describe the two different individuals is there's gonna be some people at DC that just don't understand that they're being called out here. That's my initial thoughts. B-Rax, how'd you feel? You're the other person who's still newer to the milestone generation. So how did you feel reading this?
So I will give this. I'm in that I don't want to say that first initial group of just I enjoyed everything about this. This is the best comic book that ever came out. But after the push over the last forever, and then me stepping into a comic shop 3 years ago and being when's the next static book coming out? And then they were never. And then my heart dropped then just for this moment here to happen. It felt like it was kind of just that moment of, I get my second chance to support this company, even if I don't ever get another chance after this. So this was kind of my first initial thought of it. And then to just be in 2026 and to hold a static and an icon and a rocket and see all of the DC characters interact with each other just made my heart drop. That's just really what it felt, because for me, all these comic book worlds can be connected in some kind of way, in some kind of realm, to actually tell some really good stories. And this was a mirror to that. We could put a mirror up to things and be like, hey, look at this. This is something that is possible, and just because I get a little insight doesn't mean I get to go all the way, but I'm always joyful whenever I just get a little breadcrumb sometimes.
That's a great way to put it. Tashi, how'd you feel reading this? Because I feel like you and I, along with BJ, we have a lot of the insight. B's still kind of newer to this. How are you feeling after reading this thing?
I enjoyed the story overall, of course, because like you said, the writers did the damn thing that they set out to do. But I think we had a chat before about it, and it was just I don't have the energy to be pissed per se, because to me, when they do this, is not a surprise anymore. I felt like this for years at this point. Every February, I'm just oh look, they want to do something cool.
Yeah.
I'll probably get it because I want it, but I need y'all to stop playing with my emotions with these characters that I love, and you refuse to give any acknowledgement beyond this. The writers write it this isn't just like Steph said, this isn't just a Black history book. This is a book that we're writing. And that's how they write it, because they also love and understand the characters. But they don't care. DC doesn't care about their love of the characters, our love of the characters, all that stuff. I think the conversation we were having was when you was we failed. And I think I sent the message was no. Don't you feel like that. Don't you feel like we failed. DC failed.
Yeah.
Again, his legacy. We didn't do it. The writers didn't do it. It is once again DC that did it.
Yeah, and like I'll admit, I very much have been kind of like conflicted with it because there's been a lot of people, even when we announced the campaign today, which we'll get into later, that like there was a lot of folks that were trying to like say, well, it's the black fans that didn't support the last run. It's the black fans who didn't do this and that and the third. And to an extent, they have a point that like there's still some people in my initial Twitter post that I called everyone out who said, yeah, we don't care about the source material. We only want a static TV show. Like there is some credence to that. But at the same time, I still feel like there could have been more promotion for Milestone Returns. Morgan Hampton and I had a great talk about that. That like Milestone Returns, yes, it was during a pandemic, and yes, it was during a time when Diamond was declaring bankruptcy. But DC could have done a better job to support those releases. DC could have been trying to use creators like us and different people like that to like get the word out that these books were coming out. But they didn't, and that's why I had to like really like internalize what you were saying, because yes, it like some black fans did contribute to this a little bit, but it's very much a 80-20 split of like the 80 is from DC could have done more when it comes to this legacy.
And I said it before, it's not even just them, it's media as a whole a lot of time when it comes to our stories.
Yeah, BJ, how'd you feel reading this? Because like you and I had a little bit of a chat, but like for the folks at home, like what was your initial thoughts reading this?
It's so hard to read this book and not read into the meta of it all. You know, like, and that would have been the case regardless of the subject matter in the book. But because I've been following this Milestone saga from legit the beginning, like from the first press release, I'm up there throwing the signs up on YouTube, like, yo, this is coming back, like this is crazy. And so even with the creative team, like everybody on the creative team are people that I've befriended over the years, and I've followed their careers super closely. So it's like I couldn't be more invested in this book if I owned DC. Like, so it was, you know, I felt a lot of different things. I guess from a story standpoint, I'm like, yo, they pulled it off. At the same time, reading the book, you can kind of it's very clear what this book means for the characters, right? Like the substance of this book is, hey, all of y'all are going on the shelf except maybe Static if we like y'all enough. And that's tough. Like that is rough to, you know, accept as a fan of these characters. But it does make me hopeful that we'll at least get Static, you know. But so it's very bittersweet. It's a mixed bag of emotions is how I'm feeling.
Yeah, like I even remember like because when the leak happened, Mr. Illich reached out to me. It was like, "Hey, did you read it?" And I was like, "Yeah." And he was like, "What'd you think?" And I'm like, "I keep thinking about Hardware #1. I keep thinking about the bird in the cage, and it feels like DC forcibly made y'all throw everybody in a cage and then only let Virgil out." And he was like, "Yeah, there's some metatext to that." And I wasn't even going to talk about that, like that conversation, if it were for the fact that very much the entire writing staff was very candid with everyone on the Black Comic Lords this past week. It was very upfront about how this experience went, because genuinely, people need to know to a certain extent the work and the battles these folks had to fight for us. Like, there is so much that could have been in this book. They wanted this to be 48 pages. They didn't want this to only be 40 pages. They wanted this to be even more. Like, Steph wanted a whole other splash page. They wanted more stuff for this book, and they couldn't do it. And it's very much like they had to fight for just this. And to see that there is actual like cause for concern that we may never see Curtis or Augustus or like Rocket again. Like the idea that like these characters will just be put away forever is kind of wild to me. But we will see. And hopefully these sales show that like we can even see Raquel being rising up and trying to be a mother and a superhero again. We could see Augustus leading the resistance underground or something like that. I don't know. But let's go ahead and dive into this. First thing up, I love the fact that my man Amistad got the shot in this book, because I really thought that like he was only gonna be like around because of Batman Static Beyond. He wasn't ever gonna show up again. But we really got to do his thing. And there was I forget the dude's name. There was somebody on TikTok who tried to throw shade at the writers for this book because in the Young Justice TV show they made Amistad be on the spectrum, and I was like, who like that's another universe. It's okay to have a character not like be visibly on the spectrum as an adult. It's okay. I don't fully understand why that needed to be talked about, but that was very odd to me.
I mean, like, I can understand wanting representation out there and everybody getting their version of representation, but this being a separate universe, I find it odd that you're so keen on wanting to keep something like that the main focus on the character instead of allowing, you know, more inside of the character. We get to see the character's powers and how they work, because they could still be on the spectrum in this case throughout this entire series, and we just don't know because it doesn't revolve around that point at this current issue, you know, or at this current time frame. And like maybe somebody thinks different on the spectrum. I don't know. I'm not on the spectrum from my knowledge, but like, yeah, you know, like I feel like it wasn't something that told me he wasn't, but there wasn't anything that told me he was.
I want to speak on that because a lot of people, especially Black people who grew up on the spectrum, we grow up learning to mask. So when we get to adulthood, it is very much not as obvious. So if that was still the case, that could very much be what it was. He's masking. We learn to mask, and we get so used to it that we don't know how to turn it off.
It'd be like that. That's a very good point. I didn't even think of it like that because, like, honestly, I was so just more focused on the idea that like there's a bigger goal here in this moment, and like for me, like not to discount what you're saying, that's a very good point that I hadn't even like envisioned because like as someone like me with ADHD, I was always told that I'm just moving too fast, and like that was always something that I dealt with, where everyone was just telling me to slow down, you're normal, just act normal. I never like understood that as a kid until I got tested later on in life. So like I definitely get where you're saying. But I just thought that was very weird. Like someone brought that into the conversation. Shout out to my boy Shiv, looking good in the future. I thought that was dope to see Shiv like actually be a thing because like he was never a thing in the original comic books. But one thing that like they've been doing ever since Milestone Returns, specifically Nick has been doing, is like sliding in the animated series characters. Like you had Talon and Shiv like during season 1, and now they had Shiv as an adult. I love that aspect of it. Like especially because Iman got to be in Shadows of Dakota and then in Batman Static Beyond right now. Like such a great addition to the lore that was never in the original comics. I love that gets to shine like that. But then we just get
makeover.
Yeah, like long hair Shiv is kind of doing it for me. It's definitely great with that. Then the whole time stream shatters around him, and we have the like references to Mark Waid's book, which I find it really weird that I understand because me and Morgan had this conversation that this wasn't originally supposed to be a new history book. It was supposed to be a DC Power book. But for them to release a trade paperback of the rest of the history and this not be included, I'm a little like, oh, that's rough. Is we gonna get another edition of that?
That's because this was the best written part of history of DC. Not gonna lie.
Yeah, this would not have flowed well in that hardcover. Like the rest of that book is legit. So this happened, then this happened. There's a baby. We'll call him Icon later, and then this thing happened.
Right.
Like, and then you end it with 40 pages of this. Like,
that would have been a little weird, yeah.
Yeah, but I'm excited for we'll get this hardcover probably next February. It'll be fun.
Most definitely. Like I am excited. Someone even said it during the live stream of the day with the Black Comic Lords, where this artwork for, I forget who does the artwork for Joseph section, but they mimicked Jean-Paul Leon's artwork so well.
I don't know. I don't like saying mimic when it comes to art styles, right?
Okay,
like,
fair enough.
Like, so Val DeLandro, this has been his style for at least as long as I've been in comics. He did Silver Surfer Ghostlight. Just recently he did Mr. Terrific Year 1.
Yes.
And, in fairness to the legacy of JPL, JPL would tell you he was inspired by Alex Toth, who has a
That's
very
fair.
similar style to this as well. So it's like it's been done before JPL. He's probably the most iconic, especially when we talk about Milestone. And this is very much evocative of like Rebirth of the Cool. And I think that was on purpose. And I guess credit to Marquise for casting Val to draw this, this act. But
Right.
yeah, I just want to, I don't know.
Yeah.
I guess like
That's all it is.
homage would be sort of like a better word instead of mimic. That wasn't like really the intent. I was more so like trying to show that positive light, which is like I love the way you put it too, because like you never want to like discount like someone's impact on this work, because there is a legacy to be uphold here, but at the same time, like this looks just beautiful the way this is drawn. It definitely is like evocative of that era, because there's a lot of folks that never really got to read Rebirth of Cool. It took me years to read it myself. So for them to actually get to see this artwork on display, it almost feels like the perfect way to introduce them to that style if they ever go back and read that era. But just like I love the way that Joseph crafts this sort of like merger of the two canons, because you sort of see him trying to pay respect to the Milestone Returns universe while also lending respect to like sort of what they're doing, like the 93 light, as I like to call it. Like we're sort of redoing like modern 93, where you're seeing like we're taking most of the 93 era stuff but giving a little bit to the fans of the Milestone Returns era, because they kind of say gang violence and protests happened. And it's like, okay. It's very interesting the way they do that. And I can't help but love that Joseph got to write this whole section where it feels like the perfect way of an old like timer cracking open a storybook and giving credence to that old era, because Joseph was there. He was the guy who edited the last issue of Hardware. He was there for almost everything. So for him to get that opportunity to basically go, all right, this is what you missed. Now we're going to hand it to the next generation. It's the perfect like way to go about that. And like, ooh, how are y'all feeling reading this part? Because I love it so much.
Honestly, for me, this is when I think I almost cried the first time reading this book. And the reasoning why is because like I just picked up the Playing with Fire with Static. I've been getting my like Hardware issues here and there, Blood Syndicate here and there, and all of it just popped me back to opening these comic books and like looking at them for the first time and being like, I missed out on so much because I was so focused on like Batman and Joker and Harley Quinn and all of that other stuff, to where like this was here in front of my face and could have been in my hands way before, long before I started interacting with you guys. But now at this moment, I get to see I almost want to say the word would be like, the growth of the art almost, because I was able to see how they started with these characters and then how this interpretation brings it as a lens to where I'm looking into the past almost through Beacon's eyes at this point. So it's almost as if it looks just like it, but it's a little bit different, And it just, I almost just wanted to feel like I could make a time machine and go back to the past and then collect all these books so I could read them for the first time again. Like it feels like it pulls me into the past, which is kind of what I was hoping for with the other DC history stuff, which we have our conversation with that earlier.
I agree with B-Rex on that a lot, especially as someone, I grew up loving Static and loving Icon and Rocket, mostly for Rocket. I slept on Hardware for a long time.
Yeah.
A long time. I was like, I'm sure he's cool. I remember reading Hardware #1 for the first time, and I said, "Oh my god, this is so good."
You're like, where have I been, damn it?
Why did I sleep on this man for so long? And so, yeah, to get to see him, and of course, and I mean the original Hardware, not when they re-released the stuff later. I did read Icon and Rocket when they re-released the stuff, though. I slept on that man for too long. So seeing that beginning part unfold, yeah, it was an experience. I'm not a crier in general, so there were no tears, but it was heartwarming.
Internal emotions.
Yeah.
There you go. I will say that I feel this feels so abridged. It feels so like we don't know what's canon and what's not, because like I want to know what of Hardware's time is canon, because like, does he have the collective tech? Does he not have it? Like, what's going on here? How much has occurred? Like, how much has happened with Virgil? Like, it's so weird that like we don't know what's there and what's not. So I'm just like, I need a thesaurus or a glossary or something. Like, give like the lore junkie in me wants to know things.
I kind of like that aspect of it though. Like,
Okay.
as somebody who discovered Milestone in the back issues before Milestone Returns was a thing, like, a lot of the joy I had was just reading all this stuff, being like, man, this stuff is so deep. And so then I was a little disappointed with Milestone Returns, not in the stories because they were good, but just in that they never got any real like runway.
Yeah.
And so by the time we get to the Shadow Cabinet and Joe Illidge is like, this is the Avengers Endgame of the Milestone universe. I'm like, what are you talking about? We only got chapter 1 on every book, right? Like, so for me, it was always a little disappointing that, you know, OG Milestone is no longer canon and new Milestone isn't really telling those same stories.
Right.
And so now we get this like sort of fusion of the two. And now it's, you know, whatever you want to be canon is canon, or there's possibilities now that some of this stuff will be explored that wasn't explored in the last 5 years or so. The only thing though, I have been pushing for one of these archival publishers to print the Milestone Bible. And as long as this stuff is like, pick your poison, maybe we can use this, maybe we can't, like, that Milestone Bible is not seeing the light of day. So,
right? I want it so bad. Like,
right.
like when we were watching the documentary last night, and I was just like, what I do for that Bible? What I do for that right there, man?
Yeah, I will say I've had talks with somebody that could make it happen, and it wasn't a no. So
Maybe
it was very much a maybe. Like,
this is a message to
That's kind of all I
DC.
can say about that. But
I have as much money saved up as I need for this Bible. If it's $100, if it's $1,000, you guys will get my money, and I will personally read it for every fan who just needs it, who couldn't afford it. You know, like, I will do that for you, DC. I will give you all of my money at that point. I will give you my car loan even. I will pay my car off and give you my car. Just I need that.
Like, especially when like you see Dennis flipping through in the documentary, I'm just like, I need that, damn it.
I remember when I asked Dennis if he still had his, like, as I was learning that this thing existed. He's like, yeah, of course. Like, duh. And I know Joe has his. Like, there are at least 2 pristine copies out there to do the scans of. And I wasn't even holding out hope for this Bible to be printed until they did that DC style guide by Jose Luis Garcia Lopez, because that was the other mythical book that everybody knows exists but can never get their hands on. And now it's on my bookshelf. So I'm like, there's precedent. Like, make it happen.
I will say the one thing that I want for next year is we get Compendium 5 at the end of the in July. That's gonna be like everything up to the Rebirth of Cool. I really want a Compendium 6 that just puts all the Milestone Return shit in one book, because I keep denying myself buying the hardcovers, and I'm like, I'm holding out. Like, give me a Compendium 6, and I won't buy those hardcovers. That's all I'm asking. Like, I'll buy the compendium, damn it.
So you're saying you're the problem?
Maybe. He might be.
I mean, like, man, it would be nice to have them on my shelf, but like, I will say to whoever deals with DC's compendium printing, we gotta talk, because I know that James Gunn put the old stamp logo back, But did you need to put it on the compendiums that quick? Because now I'm gonna have 2 out of the 5 compendiums with a different logo than the rest of them, and also the texture's different on the new ones compared to the other ones. Use like a glossier version than the matte version, and it's so messed up, man. Like they look so good, but so symmetry.
Compendium 4 definitely bugs me. My guess is that when they finally rolled out the DC Bullet logo again, someone made the point that Marvel's logo is red and the DC Bullet can't be red. But like somebody probably should have noticed that like 3 years ago when these started coming out. But
man, it's a trip. It's a trip. But you know, like I will say, the one thing that really the ending of this was like the of Joseph's section is like he got Hardware got everybody together and said Alva's dead, and that's such an interesting twist on the original mythology because Alva became a good guy towards the end of the original 93 one, or at least atoned for some of his nonsense. So to finally off Alva felt like a weird decision from both universes to do. And I would love y'all's thoughts on that because, like, I thought Alpha was turning over a new leaf. I thought we was getting better.
I think it makes sense if this is a world where the milestone heroes always existed in the DC universe. It doesn't make sense there's an Alpha and a Lex Luthor. Like they're basically the same villain. So
yes,
I don't mind it.
I can get behind that.
Well, I think that's another part of where you kind of fill in the lore yourself between everything that we know to figure out how we got here. And I think knowing that everyone that worked on this knows who killed him,
yes,
definitely helps because it's like, okay, so we know that they know whatever's going on behind the scenes. So there's a plan here. This isn't just random. And we know reading, even without them saying it, that it's not random. There's planned out so that all of this could happen. Whatever you did, Luthor, I'm watching you.
Part of me wants to think it's Waller, especially the way Waller talks in this issue. It's like, you did this, didn't you, Amanda? You did this. I can feel it. I can sense the CCH powder in you who wanted to go off and shoot Alva. I can sense it. Like,
but the whole premise with the multiverse and everything that they've done, it like took me back to the Flash's like spaghetti moment to where there's everything that's like similar but different within these multiverse that you're running across and everything like that. And I feel like this was the perfect multiverse spaghetti strand for this analogy to run across to tell the perfect story, to just see like how everything lands too. That was my big thing, because I was like, this is different from anything that I know. And I know I don't read too much of this, but I research a lot of this. And so like I'm excited to see where it goes. And that's just one of the things that hyped me up more for this, because it's like, if this does good, I could figure this out. This could be a story that is told to me, you know? Fingers crossed always, but hopes high, expectations low.
Yeah. Now, let's talk about Miss Unload the Clip herself, Miss Stephanie Williams. Because, oh Lord.
Honestly,
this whole section is just beautiful. I'm gonna have to I can't wait to interview her next month because I want to like give her that nickname, because like she, between the beauty of how she writes books, between the way she's so like perfectly transparent about certain things, she is someone you can tell who cares so much about this medium. And the fact that she wanted to put Vixen in this and to harken back to that era of the Suicide Squad warms my heart. But then she was like, dang it, it's Ostrander, so I can only have Bronze Tiger. I was like, you know what? Respect. You care about canon, and I respect that. Like, that's a great thing. But then we have Mr. Black Ice Agent himself, Mr. Bronze Tiger. Like, oh man, he going through it during this, and like he really contemplating, he really struggling with what he's doing, and I would love to know y'all's thoughts.
The nuance Stephanie put in this, I'm sorry, this is my favorite section. And maybe I'm slightly biased because I love Stephanie. The nuance she put in this section, especially with Bronze Tiger, was just chef's kiss. I think she said everything that could be said when they were talking the other night. Just she's a freaking genius.
Yeah.
It was so well done. It was what was the word that he had said? It was so poetic.
Mm. It was so well done there.
Stephanie has a way with her words, and I don't know what it was with this like portion of the issue too. There was a way with how the words worked with the action that was going on too. She was able to just poetically put everything to physical violence that was going on in the issue that I was just like, I need to see her do everything. Like I've started collecting some of her stuff and I'm just ready to just give her her own universe to just direct. Like I'd be okay if she took over James Gunn's position at this point and just headed to the DCU, you know? Like she could do magical things because she has the mind for it.
Yeah.
That's a great way to put that.
You know, the comic I don't own.
That's like no, I think like to even like speak to what you're saying, B, is the one thing that Beacon says is that mural was a promise for Dakota to dream beyond its scars, but Luther's dogs didn't come for hope; they want to bury it. I'm like, that feels like what we're going through in the U.S. right now, Stephanie. You don't need to pull my heart out like that. Damn.
Yeah, it's crazy because it's like, for as much as we keep talking, or I was talking about earlier, like I can't read this comic without reading the meta.
Mm-hmm.
This should be the most over the top feeling messaging, and like I be forgetting about the Ice Agents. Like I'm like, yo, this is crazy. This is a crazy book. Oh snap! Wait, you know, but the what I love about this story, these 10 pages, like it just shows the range that Stephanie has. Like there's emotional beats, there's like high action. Even the mural, like the choice to put the mural there in the first place, but like just all of it, and then it probably does have my favorite art in the book.
Yeah,
like
I will say that. Yeah,
I mean it's like the most straightforward superhero art. Shout out Carlo Pagulayan and Steven Segovia. Because if there's a page that I would like to own out of this book, it's that double page splash with like the Static and Icon and Rocket show up on the scene to assist the Blood Syndicate against the it's the D or it's the Army, right? It's the Army.
Yeah.
But this it's crazy. Like between the Bronze Tiger and his emotional turmoil, everyone involved in the story being like surprised at the government and their ability to be brutal to citizens.
Right.
Like even like the terror on some of these background characters' faces, and it hits harder because it's like ain't really a white face in sight outside of them. You know, like so it hits so close to home. And then gosh, like even like I'm looking at the page where Hardware and Bronze Tiger first get into it.
That's the shot. That's the page I want. I want that page. That's the best Curtis's suit looks in the whole book. I want that on my wall, like framed up, real good.
That's facts. But panel 1 is Static just going crazy.
Yeah,
and he doesn't even have any dialogue. It's just you just see Static going crazy, and it's just like you just get that everybody on the field right now is going all out to save their home, and it's just this is definitely my favorite segment of the book. And the only thing that even really gives it like a rival is just the emotion in Act 3. But
yes,
knocked out of the park. It's amazing.
I will say the one part of this that like had me tripping was that it really reminded me of, especially once the Justice League shows up, it reminds me of Batman the Hill by Christopher Priest so much, because this feels like a city, a town that the Justice League purposely doesn't mess with because they don't see a need to. Why would they ever come to this era? Why would they come to this place? Like they don't feel as if this version of crime is their problem, and they only show up when it gets pushed to this level. And it's like it reminds me of Young Justice a little bit, where like there's like two big Young Justice references for me in this whole issue, and the one here is that like they didn't acknowledge Icon's existence in that show until like someone randomly did during the Justice League draft. It was an afterthought versus like here where they didn't even really care about these characters until shit popped off. And that tells me right there that it's very symbolic of the fact that DC doesn't really care about these characters. They only care about Virgil. And it's very telling when looking at this. And it mimics perfectly almost, especially the way Rocket's trying to protect those people, even Bronze Tiger tries to protect those people. It's the black heroes protecting black fans almost in a perfect way. It's very symbolic in that way.
Yo, have you ever read the Muhammad X issue of Superman?
Yeah.
Like, it definitely gives those vibes where, and for those who aren't familiar, right, like basically Superman comes to Harlem, might as well be the name of that book. And there's a vigilante there who goes by the name Muhammad X. He's inspired by two great African Americans who both had spent time in Harlem. But anyway, basically this dude's whole beef is like, Superman, you don't ever come to the hood, so like don't come here trying to tell me how to dole out justice. And Superman then proceeds to spend the rest of the issue being like, wait, am I racist? Do I really not go to the hood? Right? And then like everybody in Superman's orbit's like, no, you're not racist. And Martian Manhunter has the best line in the book. Like, well, I didn't think you were racist. I mean, I have green skin. Like, but you know, taking the comedy out of the situation, like that feeling of, you know, especially like when it's a minority community, right? Somewhere as storied as Harlem, right? I would imagine that Dakota City residents have that same sort of pride. And it's like, no, we take care of our own, we do our own thing, right? And I don't necessarily feel that the Justice League would be like, oh, this crime is beneath us. I like to think that it's a deference, like that they're smart enough to realize, nah, the milestone heroes have this covered. Like they're protecting their own. We're watching everything, but they got this, you know?
Okay. That's a different way to look at it.
Kind of says it later on in the next part where it's just like, this is your house. You make the decision. It's not up to us.
Okay. I can understand that. I don't know. Like for me, it just felt a little jarring because there are times where you'll see characters from other books show up, like Batman to Superman, Superman to Batman, etc. But it's like that feels out of convenience. But for me, maybe I read it the wrong way. The idea that they're showing up because they're allowed to right now versus in any other time period they wouldn't acknowledge their existence, and that makes sense. But like
both things can be really the case, honestly.
Yeah.
They're showing up now because things have escalated, but at the same time they're like, this is your home, so we don't have a say here. Like it's
right.
A lot of nuance to go into it.
Plus the idea behind this, like all we know is that this is early in Dakota history. Like,
right.
It's been long enough that everybody recognizes the superheroes and has like monuments dedicated to them and stuff. But I get the feeling that they haven't been operating that long. Maybe it's been 2-3 years. And if that's the case, then like, if like there's not like crazy like super crime in Dakota. It's not like the type of stuff that you would send the Justice League out for anyway. This is the type of stuff that would be handled in an individual book. So maybe this is the first time they needed to show up. And it's really just to keep Lex in check because he's president. They can only do so much without being like, you know, completely subverting the law.
True. Very true. Okay, I get what you're saying. From there, there was one splash page on the whole book that it just goes so hard. It is so vindicating. It is Captain Adam getting the brakes beat off of him by Augustus Freeman. Oh my lord!
See, I want that one.
Oh, it's such a beautiful shot. B, how were you feeling watching Captain Adam get his ass beat?
I loved it, and the only thing that would have just made me happier is just seeing Superman in replacement of that, because just the fanboy in me knows that Superman will get beat by Icon any day, every day, all day. But I have to take this as the second best because storytelling wise, beautiful, absolutely amazing. Captain Adam's never on the right side of history because apparently that's just how he is. He just listens to orders all the time and he just goes. So I will give him that. But that final like shot in the spread when you see like three icons just like pounding on him from different angles, and it's just like, yes, this is what I love to see in comic books. This is the action to where the 13-year-old me comes in and he's just like, violence, I love this is great, the strongest people ever, yes. I felt like I was 13-year-old me running around the room wanting to just put on a cape again and just be Icon for a little bit.
Right. All right, so let's jump to the section that I am going to belovedly call the defense in the case of Jefferson Pierce, because I have had enough of the comic book Twitter community, the Instagram community, the TikTok community. Y'all need to leave my mans alone, because there are so many individuals that were on their high horse since Wednesday that were of the belief that this book was like current day. They didn't understand this was a flashback to the early 2000s and the 90s, that they're like, oh, the Jefferson's a coon and all this, that, and the third. And I'm like, did y'all ever read a comic book? Have you ever seen Superman, Batman, Public Enemies, the movie? Like, have y'all seen any of this where, like, yes, it's Lex Luthor, but Jeff genuinely thought being Secretary of Education could mean he could do good for the community, fix the educational system for Black folks, and actually do right? And yeah, he had to align himself with some bad folks, but he ended up still doing the right thing by his daughter later on and becoming Black Lightning again. Like, there's so many individuals that read into this like, oh, I gotta loosen my tie because I'm uncomfortable and yada yada. Like, he's not out here doing wrong. He's just limited on what he can do. And it really bothered me that so many individuals were doing him dirty. And like, shout out to Morgan Hampton, because he has my favorite like line written. I even sent the page to him. It was like, you gave me so much vindication because Jeff means so much to me. Where he's like, I can't do anything because I can't. I'm telling y'all, you got to do what you got to do. And it felt very evocative of the point that next year is Jefferson's 50th anniversary. He's only had 41 single issues between miniseries and ongoing series over the past 50 years. 41 issues total from 2 different ongoings and 3 different miniseries. That's it. And it genuinely feels as if DC keeps him under lock and key, and they'll like they like to blame Jenny Isabella for it and whatnot. When I've had conversations with Jenny, she doesn't really care that much to where she's gonna like police what DC does that much. So for them to like not use Jefferson more, when in my opinion he should be the 4th pillar of the DCU, and all the Barry Allen fans can eat my ass on that. I don't care, but like, genuinely, I don't care, man. I'm tired of it. Like, I even put it on, like, someone was even on threads today and was like, what's your comic book hot take? And I was like, Jefferson should be the 4th pillar of the DCU. And there were so many clowns in my comments like, no Barry, no Hal, no Nightwing. I'm like, shut up. Like, it's so annoying. And it's like, genuinely, this page feels so indicative of the fact that Jefferson has never been allowed to fully do his thing. And like, this is Morgan telling you that he would love to if he could, but he can't. And it's like, yeah.
I feel like this just goes back to some more of that like metatextual conversation we're having when it comes down to like, you know, DC doesn't care about these characters. I want to make sure I heard you correctly. This is the 50th anniversary and he's only had 43 issues. 41 issues. So we haven't even gotten 1 issue a year for this dude since he's been created, which is absolutely sad. That is the most disturbing news that I've heard. And then next is to where him being tied up in this way actually I think is a very good representation in the comic book of him being like, listen, I want to do this stuff. I would love to come out and fight with you guys. These DC fools are just holding me back the entire time.
I would say I'm lucky because maybe it's because I don't exist on Twitter and I haven't opened my TikTok in like 6 months. I haven't seen any Jefferson slander.
There's been a lot, and it's like I just don't get it. It comes from a lot of uneducated folks who don't realize this is a flashback. But like, I don't know, BJ. I don't know how much you love Jefferson, but like, I would love to hear your defense of my brother, or your attack if you have a hot take. I would love to hear your thoughts.
Yeah, I don't have an attack. I think, my introduction to Jefferson Pierce was the other history of the DC universe, the one John Ridley book that I don't mind talking about on a regular basis, right? But that first issue is basically Black Lightning talking about all the ills of racism inside the DC universe and like why he turned down a spot. That's the one. Why he turned down a spot on the Justice League and so on. Now, I guess there's like 5 issues of Black Lightning in history, so I could probably go and just read it all to get his character arc. But I think it's interesting that like that person, also is like, all right, well, let me try to fight within the system and not just, be angry Black man everywhere I go, right? And then like, all right, let me see what I can do inside the cabinet. But also he's very clear. Like, I thought I could affect change, but I cannot. I'm not going to wild out right now. I'm still here keeping eyes on everything, but you have a power that I don't have in this moment, and I'm going to step back and let you use it. Like, whether you think, whether you agree with what he's doing or not, like, that is the job of the elder statesman, right? Like, that's what, your uncle is supposed to be doing in the community. Like, nah, young blood, I ain't really do it all the right way, but something special about you. Like, so you take this further than I could take it. And that's what I got out of this. Jefferson Pierce is Unc. And that's it.
Yes.
And honestly, it was very on brand for him. I do want to add that in. I just personally hadn't seen the slander, so I didn't need to defend him because the only person I haven't seen anybody talk about is Bronze Tiger.
That's fair. That's fair. Then we have the section that I lovingly call Augustus Freeman finally put some bass in his voice. Because this next page is so bro, like, I'm right. Because he has this moment where like the eyes are red and he's like mad as hell, and he's like, you gotta recognize, I'm not Superman. I'll beat the brakes off you right here and now. Like, don't tempt me. But then you have the like there are a lot of folks that like to lovingly claim Clancy Brown, Lex Luthor, as Black a lot of the time in the community. I don't understand those people, but that's just me. But in this moment, in this comic book specifically, this Lex Luthor is young Justice Mark Rolston Lex Luthor, the one who very much like intentfully grabs you by the sack and goes, nah, you're playing my game. And it's like, ooh, this feels gross. So when you're reading these lines, you can just hear that version of Lex where it's just very profound and very much like, you ain't got, because he even says, let's be wise, there's a Kryptonian down the hall. And it's like, yeah, I hear Mark in you. This is gross. I don't like it. It's like I love it, but I don't like it at the same time. Like, that's how well Morgan wrote this. And it's like, oh, hurt my heart. Why don't you? But yeah.
First, I gotta jump in and say,
my bad.
Nope, go for it. You go first.
All right, I will say, like, with the Kryptonian down the hall, that kind of made me mad, right? Because Icon just went toe to toe with Captain Atom, and if in my mind, that was the Icon versus Superman fight that we couldn't really get because reasons. But like, I like to think, just like he cleared Captain Atom, he would have cleared Superman, right? Sure. Like, even if you go back to that Justice League run, right? Like, it's canon that Icon punched Superman, and Superman was like, dang, I felt that, right? So for there's a Kryptonian down the hall to be the thing that puts his tail between his legs is like, that don't really sit right with me. But, it's cool. I do like Icon like bucking up for a second though.
So I was gonna say, as the half Black, I do know that I have a Black mom and a Black grandpa. And as soon as Icon's eyes lit up, I heard my grandfather's like voice boom from when I was like being naughty in the basement, and then I could just hear that voice echo, and that is immediately the first thing that I like thought of there. He gave me whiplash to when I was in trouble as a little kid again and getting yelled at by my grandparents. But secondly, something about Lex, even in comic book form, to when he can say the word Kryptonian and it sound like a slur, just really just really pulls me. That just really pulled me, because I was even reading that and I was like, Superman, you can hear him, right? You can hear what he's saying. I know you're in another room, but you can hear the way he said Kryptonian there, right? Because it's not just in my head. Those were my 2 cents to that moment, though.
That's a very good point to that. Yeah. That I can't help but love Mr. Always Ready for a Scrap Metcalf over here, who's like, hey, if you ready to go, we could go right now, Augustus. We could square up on these hoes. And they're like, well, we gotta worry about Raquel and Virgil's parents and whatnot. It's like, damn it. And shout out to Kira from Room Full of Blurs, because she said it very tastefully yesterday, where she was like, hey, mom and dad gotta take a hit. And it's like, if it's gonna be like that.
That's crazy.
Oh, Kira, I love her.
And it's like, I even try to use the metaphor of like, think of this like from Virgil's perspective, if it was like Peter Parker, and she was like, nah, AMA's gotta get got. I'm like, damn. Like, it's such a crazy ass scene. But shout out to Raquel Urban though, because she straight up calls Lex Luthor a bald ass motherfucker.
Raquel always gonna say something at least.
Oh yeah, she can't say a lot, but she gonna say something.
Word. That's what matters. Now what?
It's just, oh damn. And then you could like just that last moment. Like, I love they put some respect on Dennis by saying that Virgil lives on Cowan Avenue, but just the way Lex says it, I'm like, I want to smack the taste out of your mouth so bad. Just, oh, why you gotta put it like that? And the genuine fear in Virgil's eyes is like, it kind of, it paints the, like, because some people were like, oh, like Icon and Hardware rolled over, but it's like, nah, because look at the fear in Virgil's face. Like, he really was about that. Like, it's almost thankful that they did make the deal, because shit could go real south real quick. So you kind of understand in that moment, like, because Virgil was ready to pop off, and then it's like, oh, that, you know what, they're mine, and it's just, ooh.
Not to mention, if you go Icon, you can see, like, even in however long it's been since they started, the growth he's gone through, just in that little bit right there.
Right.
Being worried about their families.
Here's there was something that someone commented on my post from the other day, where someone was like, this feels very out of character for the Trinity to just roll over and let these characters go under lock like this. And I kind of want to express that that's the point. The entire thing, like BJ said, it's a metatext. It's supposed to be like, yeah, these characters can't help them, because the whole thing is basically showing that the DC threw them in a cage, and there ain't nothing that we can do about it. There ain't nothing that the Trinity can do about it. And while in any other like logical reality, Superman and Batman would have dealt with this in 5 minutes. The whole point of this is supposed to be a logical statement of, yeah, they couldn't do anything, and they would not be able to in any reality that's bound by DC's rules. And what's so sad is there's going to be like heads of DC that never fully understand what like they just published, because it's a glaring like critique of them in the craziest way possible. And it's just like that's the point in a lot of ways.
Self-awareness.
Yeah. Like,
one thing I want to throw on top of that real quickly is, even with the metatextual stuff in there too, the big reasoning on why we can't just have the big three pop off in this particular issue is because it's a flashback scene to when we have one of the most evilest of men in the most powerfulest of positions, meaning that if something happens to this evilest of man, we don't know what happens afterwards. The Justice League doesn't know what happens afterwards. Their hands are metaphorically tied because of stupid decisions that they decided to make to to let Lex Luthor be president. And so this is a combination of a world of stupid decisions to where we are now currently at now of having to deal with their repercussions, the repercussions from what went on with the Big Bang and everything else, to the repercussions of where we're at this moment of that contract being signed. There's so much that happens there for people who just wanted to look at it metatextually and then not actually, or not, sorry, get that reversed, who only looked at it from the comic book and then just kind of threw that away and didn't look at the metatextualness and everything, to where there's so much history in DC. I understand that it's a lot, but just remember that there's a reasoning on why these writers and these artists placed everything where they did, because it worked phenomenally. There was no other place I could see this placed.
Yeah, that's a great way to put it. And like, it even harkens back to something that we talked about before the show, and that's been a glaring point of contention within the fan base for a long time, is that they kind of had to Blue Marvel these fools. They had to straight up Blue Marvel them to put them in this canon, which for those who don't know, the whole point of the Legend of Blue Marvel is that he was forgotten about by time in the Marvel universe, and he was only around for a short amount of time. And it plays similar to that, like sort of how Icon was, where he couldn't operate that long without causing any problems. So they have to shove them into this canon and forget about them, or like not worry about them anymore. That way they don't interfere with the rest of the canon. And someone tried to make make a joke and like play it similarly to Wonder Man for the past few years, like, oh, you had superpowers this entire time and you saw that the whole universe getting invaded and you didn't do anything. The government told me no. What do you want me to do, man? And like that's kind of what we deal with here, where it's like, when you had like world-ending crises, what are you supposed to do? The government told me no, man. What you want me to do? Like, that's the world we live in right now, and that's all. It also plays into the metatext. It's just very interesting that way. Then we have what I like to call the Virgil finally gets a good fade, is what I like to call this next section. Because shout out to Edwin Galman, giving my man the cleanest lineup in the history of the game right here. Looking fresh in the future. He's now in college. He's living his life now that he's not been a superhero anymore. And then up pops Amistad. And it's this whole thing where Virgil's like, nah, man, I don't do that no more. Like, you need to go tell the Justice League to deal with that. And we get this beautiful splash page where I told Nicholas Draper Ivy this very harkens back to the milestone 30th anniversary, where Nick just really knows how to give a speech. He really knows how to write with his soul rather than writing with the character, where he's like, don't let DC punk you. Don't let DC ruin you. And even when you look back at the milestone 30th anniversary, where it felt like Nick was talking to Terry rather than Virgil talking to Terry, where it's like he has this way with speeches where he's gonna lay some hard truth on you and you go feel it. And he does it so well through Amistad here. And there was this great thing that I noticed, and a lot of people are going to catch this. And I said it to Blur Without Fear the other day. Does anyone remember DC Universe Rebirth, the one shot from 2016?
Yeah.
If you remember from that one shot, there is a scene where Wally West appears in front of Barry Allen and is like, Barry, you don't remember me, but we used to be the best of friends, and you were my uncle, and you mentored me, and yada yada, and I just want to thank you before I get erased from history. And Barry's confused as fuck. He don't know what the hell's going on. He don't know what's up. And then right as Wally's fading away, he goes, Wally, and he remembers, and he pulls him out of the Speed Force and pulls him back into canon, because ever since 2011, he was a botched race change. So Jeff Johns came in and fixed it. And then you compare that splash page to this splash page from the Dakota incident, where Virgil remembers Amistad, The difference is Virgil's not allowed to pull him in because of the issues with Milestone and the oppression. He's not allowed to save Amistad. The only thing he's allowed to do is carry on and be the hero that everybody needs him to be. Bam! Dropped a bomb on y'all real quick.
I just love that it just makes him beacon even more, because it just kind of shows the hope that can be given, because just, symbolically it just makes sense. You have Icon, you have Rocket, and then there should be someone who's the beacon, that's the light, that's the hope, and that should be him. But this gives me even more of that idea that there's light at the end of the tunnel. There's something that we're all reaching for, that, we might be able to see if Virgil can pull himself a series, and if we can pull this series out for Virgil, and all of these other things, because I would love to see an explored world. We always complain about how the big two get so stale, and these writers just put it on a silver plate for them, and we just have to allow this world to grow.
That's very true. So, coming up on this last scene where we see Virgil finally whip out the suit and say it's time for Static to fight back. It feels good, but it feels like bittersweet, because as of the recording of this episode, we are at 1,111 days without an ongoing for a black character in the mainline DC universe. And I can't help but think that around this time of the year, if we haven't heard an announcement, if we haven't heard of like something coming for the fall from solicitations or Comics Pro or something, we might not see anything from DC in terms of a black ongoing until next year, which means the clock might hit 1,500 days before we see anything. And it's so disheartening that we pushed so hard, got so many folks out of their seat to push for this issue. And then May solicitations have already shown there's no Static book. There's no Black Lightning book. There's no Vixen book. We don't know what June's going to be. And it feels good these writers poured their soul into this. But I want to give special respect and shout out to Stephanie Williams, and that's why I called her unload the clip when we started this, because on the Black Comic Lords live stream the other night, she kind of set the record straight for a lot of toxic comic book fans who want to act like they know how this industry goes. They act like they know everything, and everyone acts as if they have this understanding that things can be done within 5 minutes. That's not how this works. Like, Scott Snyder isn't out here controlling every little thing, and that he can just shake, snap his fingers and make a book happen or something like that. We are fully aware that our campaigns to try to get these books to happen are going to be fixed overnight, but we are still trying to hold DC accountable. But at the same time, people don't understand that a lot of stuff is lost on the cutting room floor. They don't know that warriors are behind the scenes fighting for them, like Marquise Draper. Marquise Draper is one of this man is the equivalent of I ain't heard no bell, and not enough people understand that. And he is constantly fighting to help us and get us representation, get our stories told, and make sure that he gets every little fun tidbit and Easter egg in there that he can. And people act as if, editorial has all this power. There's only so much editorially they could do, because they're limited on what they're allowed to do within budget and when things are done. So I would ask people who are trying to act as if they know everything about the industry, maybe slow down and not act as if you know everything, because there were some people that on social media, I'm not going to name any names, but they were acting as if they know things when they don't. And I feel as if some people need to check themselves before they wreck themselves, because they might end up ruining things for them in the future. They might end up never understanding what the stuff goes on. And I even kind of said it to someone today, where it was like, if you knew half of the stuff that I and others do, you wouldn't say the dumb stuff that you are. And the people who fought for this book to exist, they deserve all of our respect. and I will die on that hill. But what are y'all's thoughts on this whole book at the end of the day? I would love to know what y'all think.
Yeah, I think, again, it's so hard to think about this book just as the book, right? Like, I think of this book as the effort it took to bring it to fruition. And, unfortunately, the sort of lack of hope of what's to come,
Yeah.
like, this book is masterfully done. Like, when you understand what the assignment was, it's like they passed the assignment with flying colors. Like, the point of this book was, hey, Milestone is about to be on the shelf forever unless we can do something that's going to drum up interest. What's the best way to drum up interest? Put them in the DCU, let them interact with some other characters so it doesn't feel like it's such a side quest, right? They do that while telling a meta narrative like, hey, we had something great. It wasn't supported. It went away. But there is a possibility that we can kind of spark this up again, So as far as that's concerned, amazing. Like, the creative teams, like the pairings, like Marquise did an amazing job casting the crew for this book. Like, how many times do you read a book and you're like, I love the story, hated the art. Love the art, story was meh, right? I have never seen such great writer, artist, colorist. Like, Andrew Dowhouse did his thing on this book. Every page, bro. Like, I've not seen like such great creative pairings. I couldn't tell you when the last time. I was like, man, this book just feels like, the whole book feels like it is the creation of one person. And there's like 30 people on this creative team. So I don't think you get a better example. And to think that, let's call it what it is. This was a Black History Month anthology featuring just Milestone characters. That's what this book started out as. This was DC Power, the Dakota incident. And no disrespect to any other DC Power book, but out of the 4 we got, which one are you revisiting?
Yeah. This is the first one that I was like, I want every variant cover. It wasn't even just because like I wanted to support the book and make sure like we sold out. It was like, I need that Dennis Cowan. I need that one. I need this one. Like, I'm about to get the foil cover on Wednesday. Like, yeah.
And this easily could have been a 4-issue miniseries. Easily. Like, give each of these people, 28 pages, 30 pages to tell these stories. Like, the community wouldn't have supported that.
I'd have been like I'd have been paying for billboards if that we got a 4-issue like thing, man.
You started in Black History Month, you ended Juneteenth. Like,
oof.
You end Juneteenth with static and a gold chain, like it's time to fight back.
Are y'all listening?
Like, man, and like that's the thing too. Like there's this old like thing that the comic creators say of like, don't pitch me your idea because then it becomes a licensed thing you created. I'm over here like, brother, between the Vixen video that I made saying here's an idea for Vixen is free. I'm saying that's free. I'm saying that on BJ's behalf, that's free. You can that like I don't think he would combat me on that. Take that, roll with that.
They're giving y'all gold. Maybe take notes.
I don't know. It's we're talking about like this DC So White campaign, or maybe we're not yet, but we're going to, right? But just all of the sort of grassroots stuff going on right now, like the 100K challenge, and all of this responsibility and onus being put on the community, the buying public, right? And it always kind of begs the question, like how much stake, how much blame does the Black community or the Black fandom take for this, right? And it's like, I don't know, there's no way to quantify it, right? Should we be 13% of the sales? Like, I don't know, but
it's complicated, yeah,
right.
But how you feeling?
Go ahead, my bad.
So it gives me hope. That's just the main thing, is that it gives me hope. And then as I think about more of this issue and the culmination and the like work that everybody did with everything, it just makes me feel like I want more. It just makes me feel like there's so much more that they could have done. There's so much that they could have put out there, because as we were listening to their interviews the couple of nights ago, they were talking about the stuff that they had to cut. And I was like, immediately, like, I knew there was more. I knew that they could have put more into this book. And then what was the other thing I was thinking about? Oh, and then it was Lex Luthor's hand when they're doing the handshake, and it just gives me that vibe of the old dots that they would put onto the milestone pages. And that's where I got the true connection, to where it's like all these people just knew. These people were fans. These people knew how to push this medium forward, and the people who worked on this knew how to push the medium forward. And that's the thing that kills me, is that we constantly talk about is we want to see something new. We want to see something great. Milestone pushed the medium forward back then. This book, if anybody goes and reads it now, will be able to see everything that can push this medium forward to being so much better. And it disappoints me, because when I go onto like the Comics Geek app, I saw this is rated as number 3, which like I love, because I was so happy to see this up there. But like Martian Manhunter beat it and Absolute Wonder Woman beat it, which they were both great stories this week, but they were not better than this. And it feels like there are so many people who are missing out on a really good story, on a story that anybody picks this up, they will immediately become a fan of Milestones. And that is proven by just the past 2 weeks on who's talked about this comic.
Yeah? Tashi, how you feeling?
I want to have hope.
Ooh.
I always want to be like B-Rax and have so much hope. But it's been years of letdown. And to see this beautiful story unfolding and know that I most likely won't get much more after it, unless maybe we do get a static, it's like, they say hope for the best, prepare for the worst. I tend to prepare for the worst. But there's just a little spark of maybe we've proven now how much we want this.
That's a great way to put that. So BJ hinted at it, I hinted at it. Let's talk about what we dropped today around noon. So what was it? Right back in December, I and a bunch of other creators, including me and a bunch of others, we teamed up to make a video talking about the fact that we had hit 1,000 days. I was wrong, because I was going off the cover date of when the trade was being published. I was wrong, because the final issue of I Am Batman number 18 came out in February 14th of 2023. So with Black History Month ending and this issue coming out, I wanted to work with some awesome folks, including BJ, including Blur Without Fear, including my 2 awesome co-hosts here, including Captain Diesel, Dr. Kaori Knight. We all came together to launch DCSoWhite.com. This is a website where this will track every day until DC releases an ongoing. Not when they announce it, when they release it. And there's a specific reason for that, because a lot of people still don't know this story, but Black Panther and the Crew was a book that came out a number of years ago that was originally supposed to be an ongoing series that was greenlit because of the success of Ta-Nehisi Coates' Black Panther run off the coattails of the Black Panther movie. This book sold so poorly in its pre-order sales that Black Panther the Crew was cut from an ongoing series to a mini-series, a 6-issue mini-series, after 1 issue's worth of pre-orders hit FOC. They didn't even let the book hit the shelf yet. And they made that book be a 6-issue mini because of how low the pre-orders were. That's why I refuse to just end the countdown if DC announces a Vixen book or a Black Lightning book or a Static book by like June, July. Because I'll be damned if FOC flies by and we can't have a movement like we just had with this damn book. Because, spoiler alert, this book didn't have the biggest pre-orders. This book has been selling out because different comic shops had to call Looter and order more. Because that was the big thing that people were saying, is that, oh, The Dakota Incident selling out. The Dakota Incident selling out. It's only selling out because a lot of stores only bought 2 or 3 copies. That's the issue that we as fans still struggle with in understanding, is that sales are not the same in the comic industry as other things. The sales, quote unquote, come from the stores ordering from the distributor. You're essentially, when you walk into a comic shop and pick a book off the shelf and give it to your store owner to sell it to you, that is the equivalent of you paying the store back their investment. You are not paying DC or Lunar or whoever. You're paying your store. So the key with this is we are trying to hold DC accountable for not only creating these ongoing stories, fixing their promotional systems, because the promotion system sucks. They hardly, the thing that really got on my nerves, and shout out to Sammy the Monster, because she is an amazing creator. I love her to death. I love what she does. But it was very telling and very concerning that her, as a white woman creator, despite how big her platform is, she said on Thread she was going to be reading the Dakota Incident this past week. And the DC Thread social media account put some blue hearts in reply to her. But nobody else didn't repost or retweet anything about the Dakota Incident. Didn't even repost the trailer Joseph Illidge paid for out of his own pocket. They were more concerned about the relaunch of Vertigo. That tells me that DC did not value this project. So we are trying to hold DC accountable for the future of Black characters, for the future of a representation. And who knows? I might sell, like, if we ever do get some Black ongoing books and I am the clock, I might sell the URL to somebody else to carry on for other marginalized groups, because this needs to change. These sale tactics need to change. This idea that we are telling people, oh, we're going to blame you for the sales, even though we didn't tell you the book was coming out. Now, granted, there's still some blame to be had when it comes to Black fans, because Black fans have said they don't want to support the runs, or even the fact that we even had a commenter on the podcast a while back who said they couldn't connect with the Wonder Man TV show because it was too much of the Black experience. Why does it have to be the Black experience for it to turn you off? Why can't you just enjoy the story? Why can't it just be a good story? That's an issue and a myth that white audiences have been trained to believe, that if it's a Black experience, it's not for me. It can be for you. You just got to open your mind to it. And that's one of the hurdles we deal with in the comic books as well for Black fans, is that we have to support doubly, triply, quadruply just to get the sales up, because white fans 9 times out of 10 don't want to read our content because they feel alienated by it because they've been the norm for so long. So this is multiple issues that we need to tackle, and we are holding DC just as accountable as we are our own community. BJ, your thoughts on the campaign?
You know, I don't know how I feel about the campaign. Like I'm gonna be careful how I say this. Like I certainly understand the sentiment. I understand, like, you know, why we're on DC's, you know, tail about it, right?
Right.
It's so difficult. Like, so I posted when I posted my video about Milestone and kind of the legacy of representation last week, the one you were in.
Yeah.
And, you know, Cheryl Lynn Eaton, who had a really dope run on Black Panther. I don't know if we want to call it a run. It was 3 issues of a Blood Hunt tie-in. But I just knew for sure that once that series ended, she was getting an ongoing Black Panther. Like, she was going to be the next Black Panther writer. And we still don't have the next Black Panther ongoing title from then. But I don't know. This isn't the Marvel So White show. But she reposted my video and kind of just like went and expounded on why she kind of left comics behind and took solace in gaming. And her point was just that the direct market itself, like, it's not just the publishers, like, it's the entire ecosystem that has been made to sort of keep out everyone but 40-year-old white men. Mm-hmm. And so it's like, if that's the context that all of this lives in, who do we blame? Who do we hold to the fire for, whatever outcome it is that we want? Because it's like, if DC is publishing Black books, but they're only selling them to, direct market comic shops, it doesn't matter how many books they put out, in the catalog. Those shop owners are going to gravitate to the same characters, so the hurdle is still just as high. So then I don't know, is the fight for, better representation just in editorial? Because I think if you have better representation in editorial, you get some of these characters used more often anyway, simply because, right, Marquise knows Black Lightning exists, like, oh, what about Bloodwind? So I feel like that's an easier fight, or an easily quantifiable thing to ask for.
Yeah.
Like, more color in the bullpen. But I don't know. It's hard to say. Like, I'm torn on campaigns that put all the onus on the buying audience, right? Like, because for as much as it's like, oh, y'all didn't support the book, I bought every Milestone book for the last 5 years. Every book, every cover, I bought the hardcovers. I talk about every single one on my YouTube channel. So, like, I've bought multiple, I've sold multiple. What more can I do? So you tell me, like, oh, you didn't care about it enough. Okay.
Yeah.
So I think as far as, holding publishers to account, I think it's important. I think it is important for us to vote with our dollars. And when our dollars don't mean enough, then it's important to, like, make sure that our sentiment is heard, right? Because again, this is publishing. This ain't like, the government, where it's like everybody gets a vote and, like, there just wasn't enough Black people to vote, right? Like,
right.
There is the court of public opinion. There is, like, the perception, right? The reason the civil rights movement worked is because nobody wanted to believe that white folks were that evil to be sicking dogs on people on Sunday evening at the 6 o'clock news, right? So it's like, I think campaigns like this have merit. I just have trouble getting my hopes up that they'll succeed.
Damn. Wow, that was powerful.
Oh, my bad, fam.
No, that was great. That just, like, hit me in the feels. I'm like, damn, Tashi, I need you to match that. I need you to raise the bar. What you got?
For me to raise the bar? I don't know if I raised the bar. BJ was preaching, but I do agree with most of what he said. But it is the pressure that needs to be put on the publishers, which I know is a big part of what we're trying to do. Put pressure on them. I know Kira had made a suggestion on her show, and I'm not going to get into very hard, essentially, though, of not giving them our money anymore until they meet the demand that we have asked for. It's still a work in progress. It's a conversation that will be had amongst those of us that are going to be working together to bring it out once there's a more organized way of trying to figure it out first. A way where the Black writers are not the ones who get punished for what the publisher is doing. Keisha is always very good at bringing it down when everyone starts to get up and start just saying stuff. And she was like, you got to remember, organization for stuff like this. That's why the Target has been working so well, because it was more organized, and that Target been getting desperate.
Yeah.
We've seen it in their campaigns.
They had to grab Kai Cenat to get their ball rolling. They struggling.
I don't think it worked. I don't think it worked. I never shopped at Target. Like, in my entire life, I've walked inside a Target like 3 times,
Right.
and I think I bought something once. I never got the hype, so it wasn't that hard for me not to go to Target anymore.
Okay.
But like, it's about being organized and dropping it and getting people on it properly so that it can be done properly and actually make that impact.
Right. Okay. B, how you want to end this? Because I'm treating this as our final statements as well, because I want this to really sink in. How you want to end this? How you want to speak on the campaign and why it matters to you?
So I want to make this more of a message to DC, because we have these 2 creators here that are talking about, like, you're possibly not going to get these people's money anymore. You're possibly going to cut a huge subsection out that will be the ones who vote for your movies and vote for everything that gets you guys to where you are now. Because as much as it is, yes, that like this audience is geared towards white men, there is a lot of other people who put in a lot more effort that make it geared towards those white men to where they enjoy it as much as we enjoyed this comic that came out today. If you guys can at least give us 2 years of Static, of Mr. Terrific, of any black character that you guys have under your umbrella, which is a lot. Like, they have more black characters than what Marvel has, and Marvel still seems to be able to push out some more ethnicity every single month for some reason. And that is really weird, DC. That is really, really weird. So,
what I said yesterday, last week, Marvel's problem is a whole different.
Yep. And even then, if we can just get 2 years, I guarantee 2 years of actual, talking about these characters, pushing these characters, putting them on your guys' platforms. When you guys talked about Static during 2020, I was playing DC Universes for the first time, and I had no idea Static was even coming around. I was on your guys' own platform and did not know. I would have ran right to the comic shop with a mask on at that point if I knew Static was coming out. But you guys never pushed it in front of my face. As somebody who is geared towards your stuff already, that means you're failing social media wise. That means you're failing publicity wise. That means you're failing in a whole bunch of other sections when there is somebody who is primed for you and you still drop the ball. If this ball continues to drop, then I'm fine with dropping DC. I can do it easy. I've already found an avenue to find my black creators a lot easier than what you guys just did. Now, open up a road, pave a way for people, and people will travel. That's just how mankind works. So you got to learn from how human society works, and maybe we can all get along, and you won't have to see 1,000-day clock every single day for the next rest of your guys' existence here at Warner Brothers or wherever you guys are going to head off to next.
That was a great way to put that, B. BJ, I want to thank you for being here, man. You are welcome back any other time. Like, normally we don't do the show this late, but I appreciate you for being here, man. Like, we gotta chop it up more because like your insight is insane for real, man.
Hey, man, no problem. I appreciate the invite. Appreciate y'all accommodating my schedule because I don't usually pop out on Sundays for any reason. I'm Chick-fil-A in these streets, so I appreciate y'all inviting me on. And yeah, I'll come back anytime.
Hell yeah. All right, folks. We will be back next week for a brand new episode. We're going to start doing more just like old-fashioned comic book reviews, talk about a little bit of news if it comes out, but we're going to be starting highlighting more indie books. I've been reached out to by an awesome publisher who wants some spotlight. We're definitely going to be featuring more folks and try to like show you what you can support your dollar with because DC apparently don't want your dollar. So we will catch y'all folks next week. Peace out.